Hi, welcome everyone. So I'm Erin Kelly. I'm Director of Partnerships here at SDF. And my work really focuses on bringing trusted issuers to the network in order to make sure users have access to high quality regulated assets like stablecoins. So Teana here is Circle's VP of Policy and Strategy in EMEA, where she works with policymakers on the development of regulatory policy for digital currencies. So welcome, Teana. Good to have you.
Thanks.
Can you tell us more about your work at Circle these days?
Sure. So anybody that's paying attention to the space will know that regulators are taking a much closer look at how we transfer value in a digitally native way all around the world. So I spend my time working with those policymakers to help interpret what the rules will look like for the future. Also trying to kind of disentangle, myths from misconceptions. And work with partners like Circle on exciting projects like humanitarian aid with the UN, for example. So that's how I spend my time.
Yes. So Circle's been an active partner in the Stellar ecosystem since launching USDC in 2021. And USDC supply on Stellar, I think, is currently over 100 million with 4.7 billion in transaction volume. It's being leveraged by several partners who are here, and that we'll hear more from this week. And we talk a lot about SDF, about how do we grow these numbers and grow engagement with the different assets that are on the network. But we also know that stablecoins aren't necessarily a one-size-fits-all proposition, especially once you get out of the world of DeFi and into more real-world use cases like we like to talk about here. So what's next for Circle?
Well, I think you make a great point. I'm sorry. That not all stablecoins are created equally. We are very proud at Circle to issue the second largest today, fiat-backed, fully reserved stablecoin. We prefer to call it a digital currency or tokenized cash. So USDC is always exchangeable one for a US dollar. But today, we're really excited to announce that our second stablecoin, EURC, or Eurocoin, I'm always going to call it Eurocoin, unfortunately, is available now today on the Stellar network. So that's really exciting. Yeah. I think what's really cool, USDC is available today on 14 different blockchains. Stellar is one of 3 where EURC and USDC are both available, which opens up a whole host of possibilities for instant, real-time, digitally native FX, which opens up a whole host of use cases and opportunities, especially as we move into a regulated future in Europe for stablecoins.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned, and you hit on it, the importance that we at SDF put on bringing regulated, trusted, compliant partners onto the network. Circle's based in the US, so how have you been approaching this launch from a regulatory perspective?
Yeah, great question. So obviously we are regulated in the US. We under money transmission licenses in all the states where they are available to us. And originally, we issued EURC under that regulatory framework. So MiCA, or the Markets and Crypto Asset Regulation, comes into force in Europe, which will, for the first time ever, regulate crypto assets and all their market actors, except for some NFTs and DeFi activity. So an entire region of 27 member states, you'll need to apply for one license in one country and then be able to sell to the entire or service the entire region. So that's really exciting from a regulatory clarity standpoint. I think it's really exciting for builders and for companies that are trying to grow adoption. Stablecoins come into the regulated perimeter in Europe in July. So ahead of that, Circle is seeking licenses in France. France will be our home in Europe. And we will transition those locally held licenses into a MiCA-compliant framework in July.
Coming up. So now that there's a regulated path that's opening up in new geographies, Europe being one of them, there's ideally an easier road to adoption then and usage. So what are some use cases for EURC on Stellar that you're most excited to see happen?
Yeah, so I think what is really exciting when you look at having an entire region, so again, those 27 member states, with one kind of interoperable currency. The euro is the second largest currency in the world outside of the dollar. So having those two digitally native tokens being able to transfer value, spend and save in a digitally native way, in a device-centric way is really powerful. I think that opens up a whole host of opportunities for businesses and merchants, for instant real-time settlement, for example, the ability to pay your staff and your vendors and your suppliers with significantly reduced cost, I think is really important. There are a number of remittance corridors and cross-border payments that happen. There's a lot of migrant activity in and out of Europe, and so it opens that up to, again, kind of cheap, fast payments that are safe and regulated. And the regulation really opens up pathways for the community and for our developers to be able to work with regulated counterparties. So those are other fintechs or payment service providers, merchants, partners like MoneyGram, the ability to have a regulated asset that MoneyGram can, with confidence, enable cash outs for things like humanitarian aid is a real game changer. And I think that is going to, use cases like that will increase adoption quite naturally.
Yeah, and so we obviously have a lot of partners building in the audience. Where would you love to see more building happening on the network to grow EURC? And how does Stellar really, and what's unique about our network, fit into Circle's larger expansion strategy in EMEA and other regions?
Well, again, I think it's about a mindset. So Stellar and Circle have a very similar mindset around the unlocking of human potential. I think the ability to be able to send value and save in a way that doesn't require you to have a bank account. The ability to raise capital and deploy that capital in a really efficient way opens up opportunities for people who have been traditionally excluded. Those use cases are really important to Circle, in addition to all of the integrations with traditional finance. And so I think sometimes we think of those two things as being independent from each other, but ultimately I think if we can instill more equitable transaction access within the traditional financial ecosystem, that permeates throughout. I think it also opens up more use cases for governments and partners to look at how they can use this technology in a way that actually does serve some of the communities that Idris was talking about earlier, right? And the ability to really enable equity, enable access, enable that leapfrogging that technology provides. So, again, people building on the network is critically important. And I think for Europe, we have a situation at the moment where most stablecoins are US dollar denominated, and we're seeing that change in Europe. There's a number of regulated European stablecoins, and with the regulation equally, Europe wants to ensure that they grow their own digitally native payments network that is, European in nature. And so I think that this is a way to, work with government and our regulated counterparties in a way that has less friction.
Yeah, and speaking of the importance of partners, because they're the ones who are actually getting to users and building, we'd also like to invite to the stage Juan Mendez, who's the Chief Brand Officer at Ripio, who is our first partner launching EURC support on Stellar.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Hola. Hi, Erin, Teana. How are you?
So, we've been talking about Circle coming from the US and launching a URC, and Ripio's kind of in a similar position coming from Latin America. So what can we expect to see from Ripio and URC?
Well, for those who don't know us, we are one of the leading blockchain-based companies in Latin America. We've been around for 10 years, since 2013.
Us too.
So we're from the very beginning of this amazing journey, offering seamless access to crypto to end users and companies. We have reached, as Daniel said, when we first started Meridian, over 7 to 8 million users and over 1,500 companies across Latin America. So being at that space, we also wanted to reach other regions apart from Latin America. And a few months ago, we received our license to operate in Spain after nearly 2 years of hard work. So we are one of the first companies allowing Spanish people to get seamless access to crypto. And at the same time, we are taking this opportunity not just to announce that we are adding URC on Stellar and Ripio, being the first company doing that in Spain, but also announcing the first version of our wallet app for Spanish people here. So taking the opportunity as well to announce this triple partnership to reach end users and allow them to get seamless access to buy, hold, sell, send, receive, transfer, swap crypto, such as URC, USDC, and other crypto that are already available in the Ripio app as of today. So,
great.
Yeah.
Great, and so I hear you're going to walk us through the user experience a little bit?
Yeah, we gathered a little video. It's short, don't worry. Now it's a bit of walkthrough. This is the Ripio app. This works mainly in Argentina and Brazil, and now in Spain as well. This is the real app. Now we are seeing how Spanish people can send through the Stellar network, send their URC. They can choose the network, paste the address, and they tap whatever amount of URC they want to send. And that's it. That's the receipt, and that is that easy to do it. You confirm and send. That's the total invoice with all the information, the memo, the fees, which is 0%. At the same time, if you want to receive URC from anywhere in the world, we'll be talking a bit about what we're seeing here, the potential of this, actually. Because this is just a user experience walkthrough, but it really enables a true potential for the connection between Latin America and Spain, especially. That's at least our goal from Ripio. And then, finally, you can swap URC from any other crypto available at Ripio. From day one, all the cryptocurrency available at Ripio in Argentina and Brazil will be available as well for Ripio in Spain. From day one, that is today. So we're pretty excited to be able to get this great offering with every network, but especially with Stellar, and announcing URC is a huge milestone for us. So then you convert just with one click, with one tap. You can confirm the swap with any other crypto. You get the fees detail And that's it.
Huh?
So,
Yeah.
moving from Latin America into Europe, you've had huge success in connecting Latin America.
Yeah.
How do you envision the opportunity in Europe, and how are you going to leverage what you've learned from the last 10 years?
Yeah, we're a company that was born in Argentina with all of its beauty and all of their problem and mishaps in terms of economy and social and political turmoil over the last 20 to 30 years, but especially over the last 10. So we know that we are solving real problems and we offer real solutions for the real world, like enabling this type of tools in countries like Argentina, where there are 350,000 expats of Argentinians living in Spain. It is the largest Argentinian community outside Argentina.
So that remittance corridor is huge.
So that remittance corridor is huge. It's about 150 billion. The whole remittances from Latin America in and out from Latin America to the US and Europe. So it is a huge market, but it is also a huge need. Apart from remittances, in countries like Argentina and Venezuela, the need for a stronger store of value is even stronger than just remittances or buying and selling crypto for the sake of it, or just because it is cool. It is cool, actually, but it is also solving a real problem over weak economies, weak currencies, devaluation, inflation, and most important, capital controls. There are many restrictions to get access to euros or dollars in these countries, and crypto offers a real ramp to get them quickly, to get those people quickly into the digital space, and at the same time offering a quick solution. What we just saw is super powerful because the sender could be from Argentina, the receiver could be from Spain, and vice versa, and that's just a matter of seconds, and that overcomes any other solution available. Not talking just about banks, but also fintechs. Solving that real problem is really empowering and really.
Yeah, I think one of the, I'm going to get this wrong, I get it wrong every time, but there was a stellar pilot a couple of years ago with Chile, and I think that the remittance costs on average were something like 5.6%, and using USDC and Stellar, that pilot brought the remittance cost down to 1.6%, and that's huge. That is a lot of money for those people that need it most. And another pilot that Circle participated in a couple of years ago during the COVID-19 pandemic was aid sent in USDC in this case to doctors in Venezuela.
Yeah.
And one of the challenges that we have in any of those aid disbursement activities, as our friend Carmen will tell you from UNHCR, is that the intended amount doesn't always get to where it's going, right? So it might be a fraction. It could be 80% of the amount that you send. And so in this case, whether it's a peer-to-peer remittance or it's a one-to-many bulk payment in a humanitarian aid situation or a crisis situation, we have high speed, low cost, and great transparency to mitigate against slippage and corruption and those things that prevent the total amount reaching its intended recipient.
That is one of the biggest problem, adding to the other problems. But for every problem, I think there is a solution. We need to find it together. It's great, and it's kind of overwhelming to be gathering to these type of spaces with great partners that we've been working for a long time now, but announcing this type of real world solution and enabling the free flow of value through Latin America and through other emerging markets is one of the best things that we can do to start solving these problems, or at least to start offering real alternatives to these problems.
Yeah. Well, great. Seems like there's obviously still a lot of room to grow into, and excited to have EURC on Stellar and on Ripio, and really want to thank our guests today and encourage everyone to go out and start using it.
Start using it, yeah, absolutely.
Great.